So before we get started with these videos, I'm just going to say there is a trigger warning. I'm going to be very explicit and graphic with um, certain operations and stuff and certain procedures my sisters had done. Hi guys, welcome back to FVSD Life. My name's Bronwyn, and for today's video I'm going to be telling you guys about mine and my sister's ear journeys. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. So for next week's video I will be starting to talk about my personal journey with a functional neurological disorder. For me, when I was little, I would get a lot of ear infections, and they were very bad ear infections as well. So because of my sister's ear history and stuff, the GP referred me to ENT, and ENT, because they were already seeing my sister, they looked at me and they said that I had weird shapen ear canals, and which is like my sister, and they gave me the once over. They said I don't have glue ear or cholestoma, and they said I'm just someone who just gets really bad ear infections, and because of that they discharged me, which we didn't mind, and I sort of grew out of them. So I would get a ear infection here and there, just an ear infection, you know. But the last couple of years, well no, this year mainly, well this year, last year, I started getting ear infections again. But the thing is, my eardrum, it would keep bursting and I would keep getting holes. I think the worst burst eardrum was about, I want to say it was a good couple of years ago. I went to my GP and they said, yeah, that it's completely gone, but here's some antibiotics and stuff, and yeah, so I still keep getting infections, and basically about I'd say about a month ago I went to the locum because my usual GP wasn't there, so I went there for an emergency because I said basically when I get ear infections, it doesn't just affect the ears, it affects the nose and throat, because obviously NTA, and that's when I get a sore throat, that's when I know I was like, oh my god, I've got an ear infection again. Especially if I start going, like my nose gets stuffy, I'm like, yeah, definitely got an ear infection. So I went to GP and they said, yeah, it's an ear infection, and it looks like you have a hole from the previous time. And I said, yeah, that's probably it, yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not big on locums anyway, but I went because my ear was hurting. It got to the point of where I was taking painkillers. So they prescribed me antibiotics and they said, come back in 2 weeks if it's not better. And to be honest, with the antibiotics, it didn't kick it. So I phoned up and I spoke with the receptionist, and they said that my local GP was back and she was willing to see me. I went in and she looked at my ear and she just went, oh my goodness, that is so nasty, you must be in complete agony. And I said, can't be that bad surely. She said, sweetheart, your entire ear, it's red, it's got pus, it's got, the eardrum is gone as well, it looks awful. And I said, okay, I didn't realise that bad. And I said to her that I was also having issues with my throat and nose, so she looked at my throat and nose and she said they're both fine, it's because obviously, you know, ears, nose, throat is just a, I was like, yeah. And so she asked me what happened with the locum, and I told her, and she prescribed me completely different antibiotics, and they are particular sort of antibiotics that are for ear infections, which was fine. I was happy with that. So she prescribed me those, and she she's referring me to ENT because of, obviously, Ronnie's got major ear history, and also because I've got a history of my own with ear infections. And I should mention that when I get ear infections, it's not the usual redness. I once had I can't remember the name of it. It was a particular sort of ear infection because my GP actually did a load of swabs, and it was really odd, and it was a particular sort, and it was really gross. It was, yeah, I forgot to mention, and it's sort of like, it's a fungal sort of one. It was disgusting, and I don't know if she said it was to mould or something like in the house, but she said it's a particular sort of one. It's really rare, but people still get it. So because of that, it'll take a lot longer to heal. That was quite a few years ago as well. But yeah, so right now I've been referred to ENT, and I'm gonna go back to GP on Monday. Oh, I should mention the GP, obviously, because I've got a perforated eardrum. She told me to keep it dry, and I've been doing that. We have a shower, so my sister, obviously, she knows all the tips when it comes to keeping your ears dry. So Vaseline on cotton wool and slathering Vaseline on the outer part of the hole. And I've had to keep holding it in place, but the thing is, when water gets in, it's agony, and literally my entire side of the jaw goes swollen, it goes numb, it kills. And yeah, so basically on Monday I'm going to go back because it feels like things haven't really been improving, and because I keep getting water in it, and I don't get it in all the time, but when I do, it's an agony. And also it's just to see if she can refer me for swim molds, if she's able to send me to someone else for swim molds because of the ear infections and stuff like that. So yeah, and to see what's going on. She said for me to go back if, like, in about 3 to 4 weeks, because it's perforated eardrum, it's going to take a long time to heal, and she did say that. So she said, if just come back in 3 to 4 weeks and we'll just talk. And yeah, so that's me. So with Ronnie's journey, I'm going to quickly say she has had 13 operations, and they were all on her ears, and there's a high possibility that she'll be having a 14th operation by the end of this year. But I'll explain why at the end of this video. So when Ronnie was a baby, she was identified as having a mild hearing loss, and because of that, when I say mild hearing loss, she couldn't hear S sounds, and because of that she was referred to audiology, and they obviously looked in her ears, and they said that she had very narrow ear canals and her middle ear was shaped unusually. As she was growing up, there was concern of an ongoing build-up of earwax, and because of that they would syringe her ears. And with the ear syringing, they would do that like once a month, sometimes even more. It's like every single time that go in, they would syringe your ears. Ronnie did. So Mum can't actually remember the exact times that Ronnie would have grommet operations, but she's had 6. And I don't know what the limit is, but back in the day it was about 4. So 6 operations for glue ear is not great, is it? But yeah, so basically I just remember Ronnie going into hospital a lot when I was growing up. I remember this, quite, as I've said in the past, quite a lot of my earlier memories are going into hospital, and that was mainly for Ronnie, you know, going in to visit her, seeing her in a hospital bed with having bandages around her ears. Honestly, I'll always have incredible respect for the NHS, especially for them helping my sister out and me and my family, obviously. But yeah, Ronnie, she would keep having glue ear, and she was actually referred to Norfolk Park because she would keep having glue ear. I forgot to say that. But yeah, for those that don't know, Norfolk Park Hospital, it's one of the better ones when it comes to ENT. And yeah, when Ronnie was in year 3, she had her very first bout of cholesteatoma, and basically what the doctors said to my mum was that when Ronnie would have her ear syringing, it made the perfect breeding ground for cholesteatoma, so because the moisture from the syringing, and yeah, because of that, she was diagnosed with cholesteatoma, and she had her operation for it. And gosh, honestly, yeah, so yeah, because of that she was referred to Norfolk Park. The amount of cholesteatoma, and I'm not, honestly, Ronnie would just keep having cholesteatoma, and it just, yeah, it's just, I can't put into words how scary it must have been for her, honestly, and still is. The amount of cholesteatoma operations, more and more of the diseased bone. Right, I'm going to quickly give you guys a bit of a background with the operations and stuff. So with Bonnie, because of the amount of cholesteatoma that she had, with cholesteatoma, it goes at the bone, and it can like cling to everything. Because of that, they have to take away the bone. They can't just like scrape it off, they have to take away everything. And so because of the amount of cholesteatoma that Bonnie had, the surgeons would have to remove the diseased bones that would have to be removed to the point of where Bonnie's ear, it literally looks like a cave because there's practically nothing. And so in this time, the eustachian tube has completely stopped working, and because of this, Ronnie was diagnosed with something called Tulio phenomena. So this means that when she hears sounds, it bounces. It bounces in her ear, and it's like a cave. It just bounces and bounces and bounces and bounces. And yeah, and then the doctors basically at Norfolk Park. Right, so basically how it worked with Ronnie and cholesteatoma is that they would do once every 2 years, CT, and then they would do an MRI, which would show that she had cholesteatoma. They'd bring her in and say, yeah, so she's got it, and then boom, she'd have an operation. That's how it worked. Once every 2 years they would have to do it because it would keep coming back, because Ronnie has chronic cholesteatoma. And the thing is, the board at the hospital, they decided not to perform an MRI every 2 years because of finances. As for those who don't know, MRIs are not cheap. It is hard to get one these days. So because they refused to do it, Mum demanded for Ronnie to be referred to a different hospital, because these people, they said no. They went no. The only thing that they offered was to do with the care plan, which just no. Like, if you're refusing to do something, don't, it's just, thing is, these people, because they said we're not going to do it anymore, like, this is Ronnie's life we're talking about, Ronnie was still quite young. No, actually, no, I think she's about 19, 20, I can't remember, but this was a huge thing because they said no. And Mum was like, so you're endangering my daughter, you're saying that it's not, so because of that, Mum went to the GP, she told them, and Ronnie was referred to Guy's Hospital, who were also brilliant. I've got to say that Norfolk Park were fantastic, they truly were. She was referred to Guy's Hospital. So they basically, when Ronnie was referred to Guy's Hospital, they did the CT, then MRI, and then he showed that she had cholesteatoma. But before the operation, they looked at Bonnie's ears because she was a brand new patient, and they went, hang on a minute. They were trying to, they were umming and ahhing basically, and so they first went, hey, let's do plastic surgery to sort of like replace some of the bone that's been missing, and then they went, hang on a minute, no, what about this instead? We'll do a titanium rod, so which should, you know, help improve her hearing. And so they spoke with Mum and Ronnie. They decided a titanium rod would be more beneficial. So what they did is they treated the cholesteatoma first. Then 4 months later, Ronnie went back in for another operation to have a titanium rod put in. Now, it did help. It truly did. But unfortunately, the cholesteatoma came back, and it's now gotten to the point of where Ronnie literally can't hear anything. So unfortunately the cholesteatoma did come back, but it came back in the other ear, which obviously means yet another cholesteatoma operation in the other ear. And then she was referred to another hospital. She is now under Royal National ENT and Eastman Dental Hospital, which is right in London. So this hospital's fantastic. We love them. They're amazing. I did forget to mention that while Ronnie was under Norfolk Park for audiology, they tested her for tinnitus and decided that she needed tinnitus therapy in Hillingdon. So they've referred her to Mount Vernon Hospital, which is brilliant because that's just not far from us. So, right, so let's do the what's happening now with Bonnie. So her eardrum blew at some point, and the eardrum has actually hooked over some bone. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there is talk of a 14th operation, but they'll only do it if she gets another ear infection. So Ronnie's on her second ear infection of the year. I completely forgot to mention that the Royal National ENT and Eastman Dental Hospital, they said to us that if Ronnie gets an ear infection again, she has to go to A&E. Oh no, but not A&E in our area. No. We had to go into London. We had to go to their hospital. So when Ronnie had the very first ear infection, it was actually around January, but Mum was a bit poorly. Mum had she had a cough, but she was negative for COVID. But the thing is, it's still during the pandemic. So because of that, Mum said, can you take her? And I said, that's fine. I do not know how Mum does it. I do not know, but obviously mums are mums, they're incredible and they normally do it. But I went with Ronnie and it was terrifying, because this poor nurse, this poor woman, she was trying to give Ronnie ear drops, and we were told that Ronnie couldn't have anything in her ear, like it had to be tablets. So because of that, I had to sort of like try and explain, no, but she can't have anything in her ear. And because of that, Ronnie was starting to panic, and so I eventually had to phone my mum, put my mum on speaker so she could talk to the nurse. And then eventually the nurse agreed, and she went, can I just contact Ronnie's doctor? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. And they contacted Ronnie's doctor, and so she prescribed Ronnie antibiotics. And Ronnie went back to hospital, and they've decided that she can have drops now, but it's a certain sort of drops. So they've written down in the doctor's notes that Ronnie can have a certain drops. So yeah, Ronnie's on her second bout of ear infections, and there is a possibility that she'll need another operation. I honestly, I don't know how Ronnie still keeps going. She's still able to go out and have fun. She's still able to go out to her boyfriend, spend time with her friends. just insane, honestly. I forgot to say that Ronnie got swim molds when she was very, very young. So yeah, that's something that's really, really helped her big time. And Ronnie doesn't go swimming anymore because of how dangerous it could be for her. We've been told any sort of water in her ear, it could be like life-threatening, is dangerous, you know. So because of that, we've always, like, even if it's raining, she's got to have her head up and an umbrella, and so just that way it's sort of like diverts the water. Ronnie's got a special sort of hearing aid, which has been a big help. But yes, so I just wanted to quickly end this video with some tips that Mum has sort of gained. And the very first one is that Mum has actually learnt BSL and deaf awareness in order to understand Ronnie's needs more, to understand what it's like to be in Ronnie's world, which was brilliant. It really has helped. We understand lip speaking, we understand deaf awareness. Ronnie accesses Remark, which is a club for people who are hearing impaired or deaf, and we honestly we are so grateful for Remark. They are absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so another thing is that so with swim mods, use that for the bath or shower. And yeah, so the other tip is that ear defenders are not actually considered good because it can enhance the sensitivity to the senses, to sound, and educating themselves. It's a bit like when you're in a dark room and then you whip open the curtains and the light just shines in your eyes. It's going, oh my god, that hurts. Like if you're hungover, basically. If you're hungover, it's sort of like everything just more sensitive. You can't deal with it, honestly. Ow, 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 ow. And so it's just, but the thing is, similar effect for years. And so yeah, there's discrimination with ear defenders. And yeah, so that has been this week's video. It's a long one, I apologise, but to be honest, so many people who are Ronnie's friends, they don't understand the level of health issues that Ronnie has. And to be honest, this is something we always say to people that Ronnie's got ear issues. This is 13 operations, and yeah, so I don't know what else to say, but I will keep you guys updated about me. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hit thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and please subscribe to my channel, it means more to me. And for next week's video, I'll be starting to talk about functional neurological disorders. Bye!